Salam and welcome. Thank you for joining me in the English reading of the Holy Quran translation and commentary by Abdullah Yusuf Ali, published by the IPCI, the Islamic Propagation Center International, from Durban, South Africa. Right, so let's continue. We are busy with chapter number 43. Chapter 43, Surah Zuq'ruf, and we are busy with part number 3. Right, let's start with that. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. What? Has he taken daughters out of what he himself creates and granted to you sons for choice? So this again is the concept of Tawheed, where we read yesterday very, very seriously that Allah in His mercy throughout the Quran, we are reminded Tawheed, that God is one, God is one, God is one. Don't ever make the mistake. Yet there are people who make the mistake, which is the greatest act of blasphemy. It is an insult to the Creator Supreme to say He's got mother or father or children. He begets not, nor is He begotten. He's got no parents, He's got no children. Very simple. Yet they attribute to some of His servants a share with Him in His Godhead. Very serious. Truly is man a blasphemous ingrate avowed. What? Has he taken daughters out of what he himself creates and granted to you sons for choice? When news is brought to one of them of the birth of what he sets up as a likeness to God most gracious, his face darkens and he is filled with inward grief. He is then one brought up among trinkets and unable to give a clear account in a dispute, to be associated with God. I don't know if this is referring to the Zuq'ruf or the Ornaments, but let's see what the footnote says. And they make into females angels who themselves serve. Let's just see what some of the footnotes say. 4.6, I can't read that too clear. I think it's 4.623. Okay. With scathing irony, it is pointed out that what they hate, or let's just look at this concept of Tawheed and their blasphemy. As a quick revision. As a contrast to the people of true understanding are the ungrateful, blasphemous creatures who offer a share in Godhead to others besides God. They imagine sons and daughters to God and forget the true lesson of the whole of creation, which points to the unity of God, and the unity of God is known as Tawheed, that there is only one God. This theme is further developed in the following section. To imagine goddesses, female gods, or mothers of God or daughters of God was particularly blasphemous in the mouths of people who held the female sex in contempt. Such were the pagan Arabs, and such, it is to be feared, are some of people in modern times. They wince when a daughter is born to them, and they cherish or they hanker after sons. And the mother-in-law tells the daughter-in-law, you better make sure that you give me a son. Right? With that mentality, how can they attribute daughters to God? And just on that point, just basic of genetics, here's a female and here's a male. They get married. They want to have children. And sometimes the mother, the pregnant woman is being threatened, in some cultures. Hey, you better make sure, your daughter-in-law, better make sure you give us a son, eh? But that mother-in-law mustn't speak to her daughter-in-law, she must speak to her own son. Because it is the man who decides whether it's going to be a boy or a girl, not the woman. The wife does not decide on it. The wife is just a receptacle, and I will prove it from a scientific and a medical point of view. I'll prove it very quickly. The eggs from the mother, the eggs from the wife are known as XX. All her eggs are X. But the sperms from the father are X and Y. That means a mother, she only has the X chromosome. The father has the X and Y. So when the X, these are the possible combinations. You can have XX, which is a girl, or you can have XX, which is a girl. Then you can have XX, which is a girl, and you can have XY, which is a boy. So the possibility is you can have 3 girls and 1 boy. But who decides the boy? A boy means you need the egg from the mother and you need the sperm from the father. It is the father. Only the father has got the Y chromosome. The mother does not have the Y chromosome. So if the mother-in-law wants a son in that house, she must not speak to the daughter-in-law. She better speak to her son. Her son is responsible whether that woman is to give birth to a boy or a girl. The mother is just a receptacle. The womb is just a nursery. It's just an incubator. It is the father who decides whether it's a boy or a girl, right? So don't put unnecessary stress on the girl. The softest sex, now we come to this thing about trinkets. The softest sex is usually brought up among trinkets and ornaments. Right? The little girls, they usually put them in nice fancy dresses and they start enjoying things from a young age. And on account of the retiring modesty, which for the sex is a virtue, is unable to stand up boldly in a fight and give clear indications of the will to win. Is that sort of quality to be associated with God? No. We cannot attribute to God any weak qualities, but in today's time of feminism, we are not at all saying that women are weak. Women are just as equal to men. Men and women are the same. It's just that the qualities are different. Men may have bigger muscles and female may have bigger brains, right? So we cannot compare them. Each one got their own strengths and each one got their own weaknesses. But once you add everything up, they are on or more or less an equal level, with a man just having slight degree of advantage, for which he's got a very big responsibility for being the protector and the maintainer of the female, right? But let's not get digressed. So angels for grace and purity may be compared to the most graceful and the purest forms that we know, but it is wrong to attribute any sex to them. There's no male and female angels. They are made out of light. Light does not have a gender. You cannot say it's a male light and a female light. Light is light. They are servants and messengers of God, and so far from being rivals seeking worship, are always engaged in devotion and service. If any person invents blasphemies about God, such blasphemies will form a big blot in their book of deeds, and they will be called to account for them. Right, so let's continue again. Is then one brought up among trinkets and unable to give a clear account in a dispute to be associated with God, and they make into females angels who themselves serve God? Did they witness their creation? Their evidence will be recorded and they will be called to account. They say, if it had been the will of God most gracious, of Rahman, we should not have worshipped such deities. Right? They're trying to shift blame. They're not taking the responsibility for their own actions. Or that they have no knowledge. They do nothing but lie. What? Have we given them a book before this, to which they are holding fast? Nay, they say, we found our fathers following a certain religion, and we do guide ourselves by their footsteps, right? They are following a culture. They don't seek the truth for themselves. But those people who seek the truth for themselves, like many people, they're curious about Islam. They say, you know what, we're not happy with the religion of our father or our grandparents or the pastor is saying or the church. And they say, let's see what the Quran says. So they become the seeker of the truth. And in that, when they open the Quran, they say, oh, this is the truth. And then that is why more than 50 million people are embracing Islam every year, 4 to 5 million every month, and Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world, without doubt, fastest growing in basically virtually throughout Europe and all over the world in many countries, right? And they say, we found our fathers following a certain religion, and we do guide ourselves by their footsteps. So just in the same way, whenever we sent a warner before you to any people, the wealthy ones among them said, we found our fathers following a certain religion, and we will certainly follow in their footsteps, right? Don't tell us to change our religion. This is our culture. This is our way. We are worshipping 360 idols, and we will continue to do so because it is good for business and it makes economic sense, right? He said, what? Even if I brought you better guidance than that which you found your fathers following? They said, for us, we deny that you prophets are sent on a mission at all. Right? This is the arrogance, because they think that money gives them power. So we exacted retribution from them. Now see what was the end of those who rejected truth. Right? Join me in the next episode, which is part number 4. Stay well, look after yourself. Alhamdulillah.